So my first question is like, could you share your journey from sociology to filmmaking? How has your academic background influenced your story?
So I think in my case, I believe the best way to start it is by explaining my journey to sociology because it's not common. People from favela go to sociology. I think this is just a crazy thing, just to being in sociology because I came from a big family with 7 siblings, and I grew up in a favela in Brazil. Sometimes many people don't know what is favela, and favela, despite being an area of occupation and marked by precarious conditions, often, and in my experience, always have a strong sense of community. So it was in this collective environment that I had my first contact with art, especially the poetry art, like street poetry events, similar to Islam poetry. I don't know if it's something like that in India, but this introduced me to the world where words were powerful tools to express and understand my reality. And in that time, I was deeply connected with this culture of the favelas, of a street culture in the favelas, especially rap music. So, uh, and it was I am part of a generation of artists that experiences the favelas and transform the experience in favela into poetry, into music, and I saw myself in that movement. And like in the same time, I was in high school, and I had like a history teacher that I don't know, in Brazil it's super common that people say I loved my history teacher, and because of that I don't know, I dreamed about study history. And my history teacher uh, had a degree in sociology, so it was like the desire to follow in their steps led me to go to college, and the only free university I got into was for sociology. So but it's strange to talk about sociology because the university experience to me was really shocking because the academic environment in Brazil is really elitist and far from what I imagined. Like my teacher was super cool and people there were super square, you know. So uh, it wasn't what I expected from the university. And so meanwhile, in the same time that I was in the university, my connections to the street and the poetry remained really strong, and I graduated, but I didn't experience the university the most way people did, and because my word was in somewhere else, and in this other place that my word was happening, I discovered the audiovisual storytelling. Like I discovered the cinema, because with the rise of public funding in Brazil, the collectives in the favela start to buying like photo cameras, like these DSLR cameras, like and I I am a Gemini person, so I have a lot of curiosity. So I start to learning how to use them in the street, in the poetry, looking people trying to take photos, and then I start to understand the audiovisual universe. But at the same time, I when I was teenager, I also had completed a technical course in electrical work. So in this time in Brazil, the film sets were beginning to seek more diversity because it's a really important thing here in South America. So they started including cisgender women as electricians, as gaffers. That is something I think in all the world is difficult to find. And in this time, I identifying myself as a cisgender woman. And so I started working in cinema as part of the first female gaffers in Brazil. So all these things happen at the same times. Meanwhile, I was working as gaffer in the industry cinema in Brazil. I had a collective from the favela that came from the poetry, they came from the street, and we started to creating our community in the cinema scene. And we start to talking about being trans, being from the favelas, something that in 2013 and uh, people wasn't talking about that. So these outdoor projects that we were doing start to gain recognition in Brazil and some international festivals, and that allowed me to transition from electrician, from gaffer to photographer, and later to right now when I work as a director in Brazil. So today, after graduating in sociology, that's something super random in my life, to be really honest. I studied for 3 years in Cuba, in the International School of Cinema in Cuba. That is a really important film school in Latin America. So after studying Cuba, after my collective from the favela started winning prizes, after I entered in the industry as a gaffer, after all that, now I can say I work as a director. I'm totally in cinema right now, and I carry with me this influence of the streets, of the poetry, and of the collective that shaped my world view. But I don't think I carry a lot of sociology. So, to be honest, I don't know. This is the trick.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. So let's talk about your short film, La Fel. If I'm pronouncing it correct, do correct me. If La Felicidade. Okay, so it explores the father's struggle between revenge and persevering his family. So what inspired the story, and what did you hope audience take away from it?
In reality, this is my first project of a feature film. I will record a short film based in this story in March. I don't know how to say in English.
Next
Uh,
year?
no, in this year, but in March. In March, I will record a short film based in this project of a feature film in March. But right now it's a script of like 100 pages that I wrote in as my thesis in the International Film School of Cuba, and it's like circulating in markets as Locarno, March do Filme, and I was in the Cine Qua Non Lab, in a lab here in Latin America. But um, it's a story that urge from I experience that I had with death, because I have already lost a lot of people that I love. I had a really big friend that died when I had like 14 years. And after that, I had lost a lot of people. And I think death is a really um important theme in the life of trans and favela people, like poor people, because of all the things we know about the world and how things works in our society. And I had this desire to talk about this, but in a different way. I don't know. I sometimes I try to talk. I think Ambadlo, the film that we are in the Berlinale Shorts competition, talk about lost and death a lot, but trying always to look in a different way, not in a European way, but in a way that talk more about our ancestrality, about our religion, about other ways to I don't know, to be in the world, in be in being I don't know, alive, but looking to the death in another way. So La Felicidade, it's a work that talk about death, but talk at the same time about new ways of family, because I came from a big family. I came from a really religious family, and I think to me it's really interesting thinking how families are different nowadays, with trans people, with with no monogamous ways of uh, relationships. So I don't know. I think this is a future film that talk a lot about all things that we lost. They keep forever, because if you we lost something, we always lost it. So all the things we lost, I feel that they this is like death is the only share everyone have, and I think all the things we lost, we have this same share that we lost them. So it's something that keep with us all the life. And so I think talk a little bit about that. I don't know if I answered you,
Okay,
but
okay. I understand. Like it's your feature film, and currently you have a script you will shoot later in March. Okay. Brilliant. So let's talk about your short film and Badilo, which is going to be shown in Bernal. So first of all, congratulations. So what inspired the concept of Anbadillo, and how did your collaboration with Lucia shape the film direction? Because you both are co-directing.
yes, yes, and co-screenwriter too. Ambadlo, meaning underwater in Haitian Creole, and is a key concept in the Haitian Voodoo, one of the main religions of Haiti, and represents a spiritual space of deep waters that souls must cross to reach the real space where gods and ancestors are. So this film was born from this encounter between the waters of mourning of me and Luisa, two Latin American friends who were foreigners in Cuba. And so me and Luisa uh, came to Cuba in search of better opportunities to study film in this school that I mentioned before, the International School of Cinema of Cuba. And there we lived together for like 3 years, and we were sharing our daily experiences, but also we shared a lot of pain, because during this period, me and Luisa both were shaken by the loss of loved ones in our home country. I lost my father in this time, and I was like studying Cuba in this same time. So I think we were both challenged by the need to process these losses from another country, in a reality and a territory completely separate from our home, from our family. So this shared journey, because we were living the same thing in the same time, in the same place, in the same situations, ended up uniting us in the search for healing through creation. So this also led to the encounter with Berlin Charles, the protagonist of our film and one of the co-producers, who had also gone through the same situation in her country, Haiti. And together we three found in Ambadlo the welcome to and the tools to navigating these deep waters of mourning, paying tributes to Jews who had passed away, and also into finding connections in your spirituality, uh, because I think Brazil, Haiti, and Cuba seems different from far, but when we are close to each other, we have a lot of like we have a lot of in common, because there are a lot of connections in our ancestors' uh, cultures. So I think this is this a scenario where Ambadalo could exist.
So I also want to talk about the funding of the film because it's a short film, like how a funding work in in Latin America and Brazil as well as Cuba.
About funding, right? Uh, I think this answer, uh, like if there are a lot of ways to financing or a short film in Brazil, in Cuba, or in Haiti. I think Brazil is the biggest country of these three, so we have a more uh, opportunities of funding, and the situation in Caribbean is more difficult. So Cuba and Haiti are really difficult. I think there's no funding right now in Haiti for films, and this is we we discovered like in the last week that this is the first I think production in the competition of Berlinale, in because there are other I think productions, but wasn't not in the competition, was in parallel spaces. So if I would say in Amba de Law specifically, we made it as a graduation project from the ACTV. So we used the school equipments and a minimal private investment from the producers, amounting like hundreds of euros to cover costs like feeding in the crew. Uh, and this is it, because the situation in Latin America in general is becoming increasingly difficult, because we have a lot of streaming platforms that have been standardizing the narratives and the stories, and they're leaving little space for public funding, which is already become scarce in a country with a vast population, intense competition as Brazil. So in the case of Ambadlo, we did it without funding, but uh, but I think it's a like extremely case, because we did it in the school. So we use the equipment and the crew from the school. So
So the film spans Cuba, Brazil, and Haiti. So how did you approach weaving this diverse culture element into a cohesive narrative?
I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Latin America, to make a co-production, you don't need to record in the country. You need like a percent of the film, the crew of the film from the one country or from another. So the film is set in Cuba, but tells the story of 18 immigrants in this new territory, and the Brazilian element from the crew, because almost all the department's heads were Brazilian. So uh, this the co-production thing come from this scenario, but I think Cuba, Brazil, and Haiti are countries with significant difference, but they also share a profound cultural similar, like things in common, because I believe these common things came from the African diaspora that shaped out these three regions, because and we have a lot of African culture in all these countries, and this influence the religion, the music, the popular culture. Uh, so I think this allowed us to, in this film, create a blend of beliefs and knowledges that feel remarkable, cohesive to each country. And this cohesion, I think, it is because of this dialogue in between these cultures. So I think we reach something that is neither one or uh, neither the other, but it's
Universal.
something new. Yes, but in the same way, it's something that dialogue with the three cultures. So it's crazy, but it's super possible because we had a lot of common. So and we are talking. Our protagonist it's a immigrant in another country. So this thing of creating new culture with the original culture and the contact with the new country. This is about immigrants. So and I think this is the most beautiful part that all the words should I don't know hug from the different experiences that people immigrants are doing and being in different countries. So I think Ambadlo represents the fusion of these three cultures that they are distinct when viewed from far, but they are really similar when you see close, So, and I think this dynamic is defining characters from Latin America continents also.
So, what were the difficulties and challenges you faced while making this film?
Um, the difficulties, I think the most difficult thing was shot in Latin America because Cuba is facing a really hard moment right now. I think Cuba and Brazil and Haiti in reality are facing a really hard moment, political moment right now, because Cuba is facing a lot of lacks of electricity, so and food and all the things we can imagine. And so I think this is was the difficult part to all the crew uh, doing a beautiful film in conditions that I think the other European films from the competition don't have any idea about that. So I think it's really crazy that the short list, like the list of the films in competitions, only two are from Latin America, and this is crazy to us because uh, sometimes the festivals look to the camera we use or the light we have, and we are not in the same conditions. So it's crazy to us being in Berlin because we did this film with love, and I don't think we should. All the filmmakers should inspire in this because I think cinema it's a work, and people need to have opportunities and the same opportunities to do this film. So I think doing a short film in the Caribbean context right now, it's itself it's something difficult. So I could say that.
Okay, brilliant. So, as you said, it's going to be shown in Berlin. So, what do you hope the audience will carry with them after watching the film?
No, I hope that both. I hope that audience can connect with the essence of the film because it addresses something universal that is the grief and how we cope with loss. Losing someone we love is deeply human, but the film also, I think this is the universal part, and I would love to see how people connect with that in different contexts. But the film also carries an important political layer because to us, death is political. And after all, I think the question is who has the right to grieve? You know, so the film speaks to the migratory experience, to barriers that separate us, but in reality don't exist. These barriers from the migration process. Uh, and I think it also explores how non-Christian spirituality and community can help us overcome this the death of people that we love. So I think this also can inspire the audience to think other ways to face the death. And I think this is the thing. I think our film was born from this meeting of three Latin American friends, and I think I would love if people could see and feel that, but also connect with the they own they their experience in the death thing. So I think that is.
Okay. So you're a filmmaker, like any, are there any favorite filmmakers and films of yours, like that you want to recommend? And it's a list.
Uh, I think if you go to my letterbox right now, you find films like Atlantics by Marty Diop, especially the short film that I think is not so, people don't know it so much as the feature film. I love one film that I don't know how to pronounce the director's name, but the film is called Drive My Car. It's a Japanese film.
Ryushuki, something. Okay.
Yes, and I would say Fantasmas by André Novaes Oliveira, which it's a Brazilian filmmaker. That's a short film that you can find in YouTube, and to me it's brilliant. And I would say also Where's My Friend's House from Karostami. And I love a film from is the last one actually. From a Brazilian director too called Los Silencios by Beatriz Sainer. I don't know how to mention her name, but I'm talking a lot about I don't know outdoor movies. I also need to mention one film that it's like the base of the Brazilian culture that's called Opaió, from a director is not outro directors like Monique Gardenberg, but it's a film that's deeply rooted in Brazilian popular culture. It's like a mega novella, but I think shaped my understanding of cinema and storytelling. And I always like to bring with me popular uh, things because I think this is the thing that differs me from another filmmaker from a fancy school in Europe. So I think these are my influences.
So last question, like there are very aspiring filmmakers who want to become filmmaker. So what advice would you give to them?
I believe the best advice I can give to any filmmaker is to build the collective. For me, it's only through the collective and the community that I gain strength to surpass statistic.
Yes, yes, static. Yeah.
Because yes, but because I think there would be no other way for a trans favela person like me to exist and to be in the cinema world, except through the support of choose was around me and being the support of the people around me as well. So I think building community is the way that we can go against this logic of the genius director in cinema. and I think it's a more Latino American way to doing cinema and trying to doing art in this world, you know. So I think this is my advice.